it isn't about good or bad, actually. What it's about is potential and opportunity and recognizing, you know what, we can do better. We need to do better. And we've been patting ourselves on the back, which is good. You should celebrate your progress and you should celebrate your wins. Absolutely. But have you confused that for already being at the finish line? Sometimes success and money in the bank tampers down your willingness to recognize the change you need to make and your willingness to push yourself forward. It's really a call to remember that we all need to do better. Hey, everybody, it's Bryan here on my own. I don't have an episode for you this week. I had a number of scheduling changes with some guests that popped in that conspired to mean I had 3 episodes lined up that all fell apart. But not to worry, I will be back soon with those episodes. They've all been rescheduled and people have all assured me that they will happen. But I'm also going to be tied up for the next 10 or so days with a number of different things going on in my world. I've got some board meetings and other related committee meetings tied to that. But I also have the PLRB Claims Conference, which, if you don't know about it, it is one of the largest events in the entire insurance industry in the US, which is awesome, but also means myself and really more my team than me are just super busy right now. And so I knew to try to scramble to get an episode while that's going on and get it released on time probably wouldn't mean the best content for all of you. So this is the consolation prize, is a bit of an apology and say, hey, stay tuned. It should be about 2 weeks. The conference happens the 17th to 20th of March right here in my hometown of Boston, which is fantastic. And no, I did not move the conference to my hometown. It was scheduled about 5 or 6 years before I even joined PLRB. So it's not my doing, but I'm very happy to have it there. But that means I need like another week after that to get those episodes recorded. So you will have some more episodes coming back like the 26th or 7th, I don't know, whatever that Tuesday is. I think it's the 26th. Yeah, I think the 26th. So generally a release on Tuesdays. That's when you're hearing this. But I thought I might leave you with something. So I recently got to speak at the inaugural event for InsurTech New England. You know, I had Stacy Brown on here, who's the founder of InsurTech Hartford and these other InsurTech communities that he's been driving in Atlanta, Chicago, and now New England, centered here in Boston. And, you know, it's been amazing to be a part of the creation of this coming together that we've really needed to have in Boston. We've got a ton of insurance people, a ton of insurtech people, investors, you know, other service and solution providers. We've got lots of consultants and attorneys and just a really thriving ecosystem. And yet we've never really come together in a just truly community kind of way. And so to kick that off was incredible. We had our first event at the offices of Mass Challenge in the Seaport. Very cool space. Some great networking that went along with it. And I was really honored to get to do the opening keynote, which was great. I talked about culture, which is how a lot of my conversations go. It was culture fueling change in a legacy industry. And I've been reflecting on the message that I shared with everyone, which I'm so thankful for how it resonated and the things that people latched onto. There was a lot of LinkedIn sharing of like snapshots of me in the slide with, you know, some quote or some particular message. That's awesome. I love that. I'm so glad that it struck people in a way that they wanted to share. But one of the things that really hit me was as I reflected on the 3 takeaways that I see as being so necessary to move forward in a legacy industry, and certainly from a legacy mindset. Whether you're actually a legacy insurer or a legacy player or not, doesn't matter. It's whether your mindset is legacy. I actually struggle to name insurance companies that I think are really firing on all cylinders on the 3 things I talked about. And those values were around the customer. So really genuinely caring about what your customers say, hearing it from them firsthand, responding it to them, responding it to it in a way that actually reflects what they were saying and asking for, and not what you said they wanted. The second is around the culture of your organization and whether you've really moved your people to be empowered and bought into the future, or whether you're just like with a lot of us and our customers, you're just sort of speaking on their behalf, or you're thinking they're not really up to the task. I need to tell them what the answer is. Have you empowered your people to move your organization forward and, given them the strength and the clarity and the right really to do that? So, we talked a lot about culture in that respect around your people. And then lastly was around speed. And it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's about moving genuinely fast, not just faster than we did. It's great to make progress, but make sure you're measuring yourself against the right yardstick. And also knowing when to slow down a little bit. I've talked to some great carriers where like they finished the new system. That's awesome. But then they're like, we're going to take our time with the go live because we've burned our agents in the past, for example. We need to make sure that they're on side and they're ready for this change. Or, our people have been through so many changes. We need to sort of meter this out a little bit and not overwhelm them and not crush them with it. So knowing when to really floor it and push yourself forward and not slow yourself down unnecessarily, but also recognizing the right times to pull back and be a little bit more thoughtful in how you move forward and not using either or as an excuse. So not being too slow and then just saying, oh, but it's because of XYZ. Well, maybe, but is that really the case? Or are you purposely using that as a sort of scapegoat or as an excuse for it? So it's using the right decision making around speed for the right reasons and not as a cover up. As I reflected back on that, I started to think about, well, which carriers that I've had the honor and pleasure of seeing a bit more from the inside, as a speaker, as a consultant, as an advisor, as a whatever, as an employee, which carriers do I think have actually been living those three things in the right way? And what struck me is there's really only two that just really seem to nail it on all three fronts. And I'm not sure that that's how the carriers saw it. And this isn't to put anyone on blast. I'm not going to name anyone good or bad. It's not about that. It isn't about good or bad, actually. What it's about is potential and opportunity and recognizing, you know what, we can do better. We need to do better. And we've been patting ourselves on the back, which is good. You should celebrate your progress and you should celebrate your wins. Absolutely. But have you confused that for already being at the finish line? And I think that's the thing that I was really left with is, it's not that anyone's good or bad. I love this industry. I love the players in it. I think there are a lot of really fantastic people genuinely trying to make things better. And I think a lot of the times we end up slowing ourselves down because we've said, oh, we're great. We've done it. Look how good our results are. I was saying to someone the other day, the turnaround in Q4 that a lot of carriers saw from the way the first 3 quarters of 2023 went, we were losing a ton of money as an industry. And in Q4, there was a really strong rebound. And that was largely driven by investments turning around, but also by some hardening that went on. So you put those two together, and a lot of carriers made up lost ground in Q4. Several of them actually pulled ahead. There were some even record profits among some carriers, certainly in the specialty lines and E&S space, Lloyd's as well, where the hardening could take hold a lot sooner, which is great. But the downside of that is sometimes success and money in the bank tampers down your willingness to recognize the change you need to make and your willingness to push yourself forward. And so that was, a moment of celebration on the performance side, but also, if I'm honest, a little bit of not defeat, but maybe slight depression for this feeling that we probably lost some of the steam that we might have had if the full year was really as tough as it was shaping up to be. So I want to leave you with this. It's not a time to beat yourself up. It's not to say, well, we're stuck and we just won't admit it. It's not any of that, right? Like I said, I'm not naming anyone. I'm not calling anything out. That's not the point of this at all. It's really a call to remember that we all need to do better. I mean, even those 2 carriers that I said I thought of, I know they're striving to be better. So they're not done with their journey because they've recognized there's no such thing. Right? Just because you've done a great job and you've really turned things around, and they have, doesn't mean that now you're finished, right? It means actually you need to continue on that path. You're just building from an even better starting place, which is fantastic. So I want to ask, I think especially the leaders that are listening, are you doing enough? Are you pushing yourselves enough? Are you willing to be honest enough with yourselves? And the good news is there's a lot of help to be had out there. All of the stuff that I put out there, most of it for free, is about helping inspire us and give us the tools to push ourselves forward. And, anyone who has reached out to me for this can tell you, if you can't afford to buy my books, I will hook you up one way or the other. I'll make sure you get what you need to get. None of this is about making money. It's about turning us around and inspiring us as an industry to do better. I've got a lot of friends on LinkedIn who are putting out similar content and trying to help you to move forward. There's a wealth of those folks to pay attention to, all of the great events out there in the industry. These are our moments to network and to hear from peers who are maybe struggling with something similar and perhaps have a different approach to it that could inspire something in you, and to take in from the various speakers and panels and whatnot that you get to experience, to hear how can we do better. And I think that's really what I want to leave you with, is that request, that call to say, hey, I think we're doing great, but I know no matter how well we do, we can always do better. How can I inspire that in myself and in my teams and in the organization around me? If we all take a bit of that power into our work, it's amazing what we could turn around. The resources, the capabilities, the intelligence we have at our disposal in ourselves and in the ecosystem around us, I think is second to none in any industry. Honestly, what could we do with that if we really unleashed it? So I will leave it there. I hope there's a bit of inspiration for you all. I know it came on the back of saying like, hey, I'm not going to have an episode for you for a couple of weeks, but it's for good reason. And hopefully this gives you a bit of inspiration. And hey, if you're going to be at PLRB in Boston, please say hi to me. All right. I will see you all soon. Thanks so much.